Do I believe that what I deliver is worth $400,000? In fact, I do. They share with others what I've helped them achieve. And that leads to opportunity for me. Yeah, it's the long path, but it's the path I'm happiest with.
Rob, can you share with us a startup you have worked with where it doesn't even have to be a tech startup that became worth $100 billion, but just one where you're proud of your work with them and you nurture them along from here to here, however you want to decide what here is?
Sure. So the first sales enablement role I was recruited out of the world of teaching. I was teaching math and business at a local high school, and a recruiter reached out to me and said, Rob, we've got this VP of sales at a tech startup. He said, go find me a math teacher. My sales guys don't know math. Okay. By any chance, have you looked at my resume? No, why? Well, you see, I've done almost 20 years of training and development in sales and customer service as well. So yeah, let me take this opportunity. I came on board, and at the time, they said they were hoping to scale their sales team. They had about 10 to 12 representatives. They wanted to get it to 60. 60 is an interesting number because that was their turnover rate at the time that I came on board. When you have 60% turnover in your sales team, you're not scaling anything. When you have 60% turnover, that means the person you hired in January, you're hiring for that same seat again in June. And empty seats don't fill quota. So I would love to tell you it was all me. It wasn't all me. It never is any one person. But I had a leadership team that gave me enough rope to hang myself, as they say, that gave me the audience and respect that we needed to really make things happen. We came in, we took what was really working for them, codified it, and built formal processes around that, not just for the sales program, but for the sales hiring. We took that organization from 60% turnover down to less than 10%, well, closer to 5% in about a year and a half. At that same time, we had scaled the number of sales reps hitting quota. We had increased the quota simultaneously. And ultimately, that organization went from startup to unicorn status. They were bought out and are a highly successful organization, still standing on their own. And not only am I proud of what I was able to accomplish in conjunction with the team there, I was able to take the lessons, because remember that greenfield where you learn about these things as well? I was able to take those lessons, map it over to the next startup, and do that same thing in just 6 months. So it's been exciting for me to work with these organizations because you can see the impact of the results so quickly as well.
Great. That must be gratifying to see something progress like that because, 60% turnover rate, you're doing something wrong. There's no doubt about it for any organization, regardless of the industry. Now,
Right.
I'm intrigued by you being in the industry of academia. So I'll ask you a question I've never figured out the answer to, which is in the academic world, there are lawyers I know, economists, they are able to convince to sell themselves to universities and say, okay, pay me $400,000 a year, $500,000 a year, certainly $200,000 a year. People I know who teach law, who teach economics, for example, not to mention medicine, are typically really compensated very well. And yet people who are great at the fields of marketing, of sales, of communication, in my experience, and I'm hoping you have a completely different experience, are generally awful at actually selling themselves in the academic world. I've had countless universities come to me and say, hey, TJ, can you do a guest lecture? Can you teach this course? And invariably, it almost gets to the point where they want me to pay them for the luxury of saying I'm an adjunct professor. And it doesn't matter if it's an Ivy League school. It almost doesn't matter. There's a sense that if you're in the communications marketing field, you should just be happy to be able to tell people you're associated with a university.